this is the biggest TNA show in over a decade. This is the first time TNA's back in Montreal in 13 years, and I've done some pretty big independent wrestling shows in Montreal, but I've never been here with a company like TNA. In the time that I spent outside of Canada mostly, I did a lot of big shows around the world. The biggest show I've ever done was in Mexico, and then Sumo Hall in Japan, which is huge. But to be doing this in Montreal really feels different. I feel comfortable here. As weird as that sounds, I've been here 3 times this week already, because we've been doing media interviews, everything since Sunday.
And here we are in Montreal. 4,000 plus people are going to watch the first TNA Slammiversary since the rebrand. You know, you wrestle as a kid, you go on the indies, your backyard, you do whatever you need to do. And the goal is to get to this.
I've spent so much of my career being a foreigner. Like being the guest, being the one that was like received by the audience. I feel like I am a much bigger part of this happening than I usually am. I mean, if there's anyone to thank directly, it's PCO, who's been working tirelessly for the past few months to sell this place out. I know that everyone that is involved in Quebec wrestling is going to be in attendance tonight, and that's people that I have known for almost 20 years.
Speedball Mike Bailey is the hardest working wrestler I've ever met. There is no one who travels as far, does as many dates, puts in as much, and gives as much back. You know, like the work that he does with his own little crew and his own little brand. You know, and people like that deserve moments like this.
Hey, what you doing here, dog? What you doing, son?
Doing well, bro. So real good to see you. Yeah, man, you out here.
When I got asked about doing this, I was a little hesitant because I really don't know how to describe it other than like I'm in a weird like fog. And I mean that in a way to not sound like I'm complaining. I mean that I'm so aware of what's going on in the world and like how blessed I am to be able to do what I do, and how I have money and food and a roof over my head, and there's many that don't have that. So there's always that intense sense of gratitude. But in the nature of what we do, it's a competition. There's this need to acquire and win. And I'm just in this weird kind of fog of trying to balance both of those things. Like I want to be grateful, but at the same time, I am not satisfied. For the last few months, I've been telling everyone that I'm the best super junior heavyweight in the world. And here's the thing about me, like I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence and tell them a lie. I truly believe that. But now I have to prove that. And tonight's performance is pivotal for that. And deciding to do that against Mike Bailey is a challenge. Mike, he's got the industry's respect, you know. And I feel like at one point I had everyone's respect, and now I'm looking to reclaim it. I think, you know, going back to what I said before about kind of being in this fog, this gray area of not knowing whether to be grateful or whether to be ambitious. I guess the big catalyst, the big dilemma in my life is that I feel like I've wasted a lot of time. I feel like time is fleeting, and I'm just really, really trying to make the most of it. I'm just kind of being open with this. I'm forever grateful for everything that I've gotten, everything I've been able to do, but I'm at that stage now where I'm kind of like, is this it? Is this the most that I'll be at? And I wear that X Division championship with a lot of pride. But I do have to be honest in saying that, like, when I close my eyes and I dream, I see such big things for me, what I'm capable of doing. For a lot of people, when they open their eyes, then reality sets in. Right? Like, oh, I can't do this, or I have this. I see it when my eyes are open. I see it when my eyes are closed. And like this thing that I'm chasing, this mountain that I'm trying to climb, so to speak, it's pretty daunting. And when you have a family, when you have people that you care about more than you care about yourself, that becomes like a weight to bear, you know? And I just want to be a good dad, man. I really want to be a good dad. I want to be a good husband, a good son, a good brother. And it's kind of hard to juggle all these things. And I also want to be the best super junior heavyweight in the world.
I have never wrestled in front of such a large crowd and on such a huge platform where I would be able to say something in French and they will know what I'm talking about. This is something that I regret, right? I have an accent, you can tell, especially when I'm like doing interviews like this or talking into a camera. I may sound a little bit more French Canadian, but I feel like I've tried very hard in order to have to not deal with that, not deal with, especially in pro wrestling, not being labeled as someone who sounds different. I've done my best to not sound French Canadian, to get rid of my accent as much as I could and just sound like all the pro wrestlers I was hearing on TV when I grew up. And I kind of regret that. Do you know what I mean? It's a hard thing to explain, because to me this was just like, oh, his English is bad because he sounds Québécois when he speaks, and that's how it was perceived by a lot of people, and myself when I was younger. The issue with being Québécois as an identity is because like there is also a struggle that like the effort by English Canada to erase the French culture in Quebec, and so I feel like that led the way to a lot of people from Quebec being very protective about their identity, and that leads to a lot of pride with being from Quebec and having someone from Quebec, from this very specific culture, go out and represent the province.
I managed to speak with Mike. The faith I've got in that boy and the trust that the fans have in knowing full well that he's going to give everything he's possibly got. He's in front of his hometown crowd and friends, family, people he's trained with, people he's trained are going to be in the venue tonight. It's Speedball Mike Bailey's time. It's Speedball Mike Bailey's night. It's time for him to bring it home.
In sports, I mean, anytime someone from Quebec makes it big outside of Quebec, it's always a huge deal. Georges Saint-Pierre is a like great example of that, and then there's in boxing as well, like Jean Pascal. And people just from Quebec really appreciate having one of their own make it outside of the province, given how, on purpose, difficult that has been. I'm fully aware that it is like pointless to compare cultural struggles, but I know that the bottom line is I know there's a struggle that comes with being from Quebec, that comes with speaking French as a first language, especially in professional wrestling. And I've learned over my 2 decades of professional wrestling to carry that with pride. And it's important for me to succeed and set an example and create a path for anyone that was in a situation similar to mine.
Montreal is rich in history, especially when it comes to professional wrestling. And I hope to kind of touch a nerve with that tonight.
Secret Service, guys. We're going to sign it right now so there's no confusion. You here, hop up, physically hop up, boom, then you, opposite hard cam, please.
There's a lot of expectations. There's an expectation as the X Division champion. There's an expectation when you're in the ring with Speedball. And then, I mean this with all the arrogance in the world, there's an expectation when you're Mustafa Ali. Like, I had several people in the TNA roster come up to me today like, well, is it even worth trying because you're on the show tonight? And like, I love that. I love people knowing that if you're, the worst place to be on the card is the match after mine. So whoever's following me, I apologize. So there's that one side of Ali, there's that one side that wants to be the show stealer, that wants to make sure that like everyone leaves the building going like, man, that guy's incredible. There's another side to Ali that gets a phone call from his 10-year-old daughter saying, please be safe, Baba, and are we going to get pancakes on Monday when you come back home? I feel like my entire life is about balancing these two things. Now it's becoming a little harder to do those things in the ring because I realize I have to go to, and it sucks when you can't pick up your baby, right? Like it sucks when you can't play basketball with your son because you busted your knee or whatever. I have a responsibility to them too, you know, so I'm a guy forever looking for balance. You know, that's been my dilemma. But tonight, Daddy's got to work.
I am extremely critical. I hold myself to a very, very high standard. Everything is in line tonight with Ali. Everything is like the ball is in our court. I've had the 2022 TNA match of the year against Josh Alexander, had the 2023 match of the year against Will Ospreay, and to me, this match is the best chance I have so far in 2024 of achieving that. So I want, the best match of the year in TNA. I want the greatest match this audience who's paying to see it has ever seen. And I want everyone who sees this to say, wow, this absolutely blew our minds. And I won't settle for anything less.
My hope is tonight, this match with Speedball in front of a sold-out house in Montreal. I hope that that clears some things up for me. Maybe a new fire lights in me. I don't know. But you're still gonna get one hell of a performance because it's me. Come on, guys. Again, whoever has to follow me, I apologize.
Mustafa Ali, he may well be the biggest prick we've ever seen in TNA. But once again, you can't take away what the magnitude and the gravity that he is bringing to TNA and he's bringing to this match.
I think Ali is one of the best in the world. He puts so much deliberation behind every single decision that he makes in the ring or just in his wrestling career. This is an occasion where I've definitely met my match in that regard, and I know that he feels the same way. We both reconfigured our brains to adapt to professional wrestling.
We're going to watch two of the absolute best professional wrestlers in the world go at it tonight under the TNA banner at Slammiversary for a title, a championship, a crown that has been worn by the absolute greatest of all time.
I'm excited. This match and this entire show is way too big for us to leave anything up to chance. We both have completely different experiences, but we've both been doing this for a long time and are extremely mindful about our professional wrestling. So I think we're not the type of people that leave a lot up to chance. I feel very focused. I very, very rarely fuck up.
I find me and Mike to be very opposite. Mike, eccentric is a word. Maybe I find him to be very odd. To be honest with you, he's a very odd individual.
Is that us? We're up. I play my Nintendo Switch on airplanes, and if there was an announcement, if I could see the wing off the plane fly off, I wouldn't stop playing my video game because there's nothing I can do at that point. This is how I feel about professional wrestling.
Mike's incredibly talented. Again, we're just very two opposite cats, but I think that's what makes the best matches.
An hour, 2 hours before I have to go out, I have done everything I can. I am prepared. I have done everything that I could do. Everything else is out of my control, and that feels so wonderfully calm for me. What I'm gonna do tonight is it's gonna be an incredibly complex performance. And the way my brain works, I don't feel like there's any room for myself to have any emotions within that.
I'm really looking forward to us just beating the shit out of each other tonight, because that's probably what's gonna happen.
It's their turn to do it in front of 4,000 people. It's their turn to do it at Slammiversary, and it's their turn to leave their masterpiece on that canvas. And there's no doubt in my eyes that that's what we're going to be seeing.
The performance that I'm going to give tonight is going to be 20 years of effort that culminates into one match. And I know that that is going to be felt by everyone in here tonight.
This is going to sound incredibly insane, but I'm willing to die for you folks in that ring. Once the bell rings, something happens. And people are like, wow, how did you do this? And like, you've been doing it 20 plus years and all the abuse. Like, I don't know. Anyone sees me right now, I'm like hunched over, I'm like holding my wrists, everything hurts. But when that bell rings, something happens and I become Superman. I don't know what it is. And I'm not kidding when I say this. I'm willing to do whatever it takes in the ring to get that job done, to perform.
This is the biggest match of my life, and a big part of pro wrestling is not having an off season. So most of my matches, there is a certain restraint, but honestly, this is 4,000 people in Montreal for the X Division Championship. If there's ever a time for me to say, screw safety, I'm just going all out, this is it.
So there's these expectations of me versus Speedball at Slammiversary. And to a degree, we're gonna deliver and exceed that. But then comes my selfishness, my artistic, like, well, this is the story, this is what I want people to feel. There's gonna be a moment. I want people to feel something.
Professional wrestling is something that I've done my whole life. It is my life, it is my main focus. There is no bigger moment for me than performing in the ring, bell to bell, doing a pro wrestling match.
It's been 27 years of me getting back here to prove a point that I had to do some shit that I was told to do, and if I hadn't done it, I'd have been gone, fired. But this time it was a different world. I felt like a bad guy walking down, but in all honesty, they changed my heart coming back. I felt like a hero coming back. Montreal, I still love you. I didn't for a long time, but I love you, Montreal, and all you fans. God bless.
When I say this was easy, I don't mean like, oh, I'm so good that this was easy. I mean an entire organization, every single person I got to share the ring with, 4,000 people in the crowd tonight. We're all a part of this, and everyone came together to make this easy. This is pro wrestling. This is good pro wrestling. This is what it's supposed to be. This is what I wanted. The last part of my match, I had very little work to do. Just keep my face and stay in the moment. And this is what makes this even more special for me, is that I got 10 minutes to just lay down and enjoy and appreciate while I can hear the crowd realizing that Earl Hebner is not gonna screw me out of my X Division Championship, that he's changed and there's that switch and there's that reaction and there's that roar, and I don't have a lot to do except be happy. Yeah, I'm happy. This is great. Couldn't have worked out any better.
I actually got to perform with Bailey once before. He hits incredibly hard. Tonight, Mike Bailey reminded me that he hits incredibly hard. I think I reminded him that I also hit quite hard. I'm sore. Mike's pretty banged up. I'm pretty banged up. My soul is very happy right now, though. To get an entire arena to stand for the last 5, 6, 7 minutes of your match. Every time I looked out, they were standing. And I think I kind of mentioned it today that, when I got here, I was like, I know this is going to be a long night. I know it's going to be very, very difficult. But you just, as performers, we just know. And I think I also mentioned that, like, on the walk back, you can kind of tell from fans. And even though Montreal they were loud and they were very proud and they were behind their boy, but it was that post-match walk back up the ramp. And even though they were yelling and booing, when I made eye contact, it was
It was a layup. We were just set up for victory. It's hard to listen to stories of old professional wrestling with everyone working against each other, fighting for spots. And this is the opposite of all that I've experienced in TNA.
Wrestling is so hard, man. It's so hard because I think people don't understand the person behind the performer. I got a lot of flack that post WWE that I wasn't having amazing matches and I wasn't risking it all. And people don't know that the day I got released, I went upstairs and I told my wife the news. I said, hey, I just got let go. And I shit you not, 2-3 minutes later, her doctor called her and she's like, yeah, you have a broken neck. You need neck surgery. So no one knew those whole 90 days while I'm getting ready to go do this world tour and prove that I was dealing with a wife that needed major neck surgery. And I got 3 kids. So you have to imagine when I go out on the road, I have to make sure I come home in one piece because not only am I taking care of my wife, the 3 kids, and that's not an excuse, right? Like you don't pay a ticket and go, oh guys, like I got shit going on at home, please take it easy. I'm expected to perform, I'm expected to deliver, and if I fell short of those expectations, I failed then. But I just think this world just lacks so much empathy, and my wife's healthy, my babies are healthy. I'm probably not as healthy after wrestling Mike Bailey. But I think tonight I finally shut up a lot of those critics that thought that I couldn't deliver and I couldn't. I hate the fucking word banger, but we'll use the word banger. I'll give the word banger. Give a banger, whatever. I thank God that Mike and I get to go home to our families. And I can't wait to beat the shit out of each other again.
All the emotion, all that's happened today is probably going to sink in momentarily, and then I will be reminded of the burden that comes along with carrying something like this. I want to continue to be the best, and I want to show what this belt means. I want to show that you should work hard. I want to show that it's possible to love and be passionate about the art of professional wrestling without ever turning bitter, without ever being resentful, just always doing your best, because to me, that's what being a champion means.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm cheating a bit here. I know this is kind of like a day of thing. But after last night, I got to kind of have, I don't know, a sense of like reflection. And I know most of the day I selfishly was talking about like myself and validation and what I'm looking to get out of this match and, you know, my time here with TNA. And I'm a bit embarrassed to say this, but it was only after the match that I found out what this match did for a lot of other people as well. The first person being my opponent, Speedball Mike Bailey. He too has been scratching and clawing and grinding. And he also has this sense of validation that he hasn't gotten. And he told me last night, performing in front of his family and his friends, he said, you'll never know what it means to be able to look at them and say, see, you know, look what's possible. And just, I'm not doing it justice, it's just the way he said it meant something. And then what it meant to do this story with Earl Hebner, who got to basically somehow finish his story and have this sense of redemption. At Slammiversary, when I got here, Earl was in his own room, and when I went to go greet him, there was an extreme sense of nervousness from him. I truly feel there was that one moment Earl was having second thoughts about coming out. And he told me, he's like, kid, you don't know, I've been carrying this with me for like 27 years, I think he said. And he's like, I fear for my life sometimes. I never thought I'd be here in Montreal again. He goes, you just don't understand. And he said something that, it just hit me here. He goes, kid, you don't know how much time you got. And the fact that I got to write something that I did wrong, he's like, I'm forever grateful for that. And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier that day about time. If you, the viewer at home, get anything out of this, out of all my rambling and complaining and I don't know, my bipolarness or whatever, like, just please take it Time is, it's so important. Please don't waste your life. Please don't wait. Whatever it is that you want, you dream of, that you believe, just go get it. Don't wait on it. Don't, because time waits for no man, right? There's no beating it. Seize every day, every minute, anything you can possibly do to conquer time. You'll never win. You'll never win against the bell time, but you can give it a hell of a fight.